We're coming up for the holiday season, and it's a time when many people reflect on the year that's gone by and how they can make next year the best year of their lives. If you want to make the coming year a great year for you, I believe you need to build the foundations of success by honing 3 sets of fundamental skills. Firstly, mindset skills, then people skills, and finally, system skills. The techniques you require, whether your investment system is real estate or shares or business. Now, it's been said that the most important factor that will change where you are in 12 months' time compared to where you are today is going to be the books that you read and the people that you hang around. So let's have a look at some of the books that you could read over the next months and into the next year that could improve those 3 sets of skills. These are the foundational books that you need to read or reread to help yourself up for the future. So let's first look at the mindset skills books. The first one that you should look at is Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. This book's on the bookshelf of almost every successful investor and entrepreneur. And while it's a very old book now, and it's a little bit difficult to read, you're going to find that most successful people say it was one of the foundational books that got them to be where they are today, and it's sold over 100 million copies. Another great mindset book that I believe you should read is the book that I've written together with Tom Corley, Rich Habits, Poor Habits. Now, sure, this is one of my books, but it's become an international bestseller and it's been translated into 5 foreign languages. So why wouldn't I tell you about this? Rich people think in a certain way and poor people think in a completely different way. And those ways of thinking determine their actions and therefore determine their results. When you have your own copy of Rich Habits, Poor Habits, you're going to actually learn how people think. Now, we explain to you where we are today is because of the things we do day in and day out. And our old ways of thinking and our old habits brought us to exactly where we are now. And if we want something different in our lives, we're going to need to do something differently. So my book debunks the myths and common wisdom about how to get rich. So when you read Rich Habits, Poor Habits, it's going to unlock the secrets of failure and success, and it's based on Tom Corley's 5-year study of the daily activities of 233 rich people and 128 poor people. He did a 5-year Rich Habits study, and I'm really proud to say that Tom and I, since this book was written, have gone on to share the mindset secrets of the rich and successful to a huge audience. And as I said, it's now been translated into 5 languages. So it's going to help you understand the way the rich think differently to the poor. Now, what about people skills books? The classic is How to Win Friends and Influence People by Dale Carnegie. Now, you've probably heard of this book, but have you read it? It's one of the classic books on people skills. Another great book to read is The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People by Stephen Covey. This is another classic, an example of why you don't need new books. You don't need to read brand new books. There's so much in the classics that you should use first as your foundation. In this book, Stephen Covey explains how the habits of highly effective people have made them successful. So my question to you is, how many of these habits you incorporated in your life? Another book that has influenced me a lot, has helped me a lot, is the book Influence by Robert Cialdini. Now, I still remember buying the tape sets of this book way back in the early 1990s. I listened to the audio and it changed my life, and then I got the book and I've read it and I've reread it, and it's changed how I deal with people and how I negotiate, influence and persuade. Dr. Cialdini taught me the 6 fundamentals of influence that are now part of my DNA today, and which I go into in much more detail in my book, Negotiate, Influence, Persuade. So that's the next book I'm going to recommend on your reading list for people skills book, my new book, Negotiate, Influence, Persuade. This is my latest book where I teach you how to get other people to do what you want them to do, when you want them to do it, but not by forcing them, by your ability to interact, to communicate, negotiate, to influence and persuade. You see, in every transaction there's a buyer and seller. Either you're buying what they're saying, or they're going to buy what you're saying or what you're recommending. Now, this book's not just for salespeople, it's also for you as a consumer, because we all negotiate every day in our lives, not just in business, but with our spouses, our children, our work colleagues, our customers, our clients. Now, while there's plenty of books out there teaching sales techniques and negotiating techniques, this book explains the fundamentals, the psychology behind why the techniques work and how you can use them more effectively. It's more than a book about negotiation. It's about persuasion and influence and how to use these to meet your goals, but correctly, ethically. It'll change how you do business, it'll change how you interact with your family and your friends, and hopefully give you a greater understanding of why people behave and how you can motivate them to take action. So why not get your copy of Negotiate, Influence, Persuade? The third set of books are the system skills books, and I'd be wrong not to mention Rich Dad, Poor Dad, the book by Robert Kiyosaki, to teach you about how, again, it's a bit about how rich people think, but it teaches you the fundamentals of money. He offers personal finance advice and breaks down money misconceptions across a broad spectrum. Robert's story, of course, is growing up with two dads, his real father and the father of his best friend, his rich dad, and the way in which both men shaped his thoughts about money and investing. Now, Rich Dad Poor Dad explodes lots of myths about money. Some of his property strategies don't translate well to Australia, where the rules are different to the USA, but in general, it's a great book. And the last book I'd like to recommend to you today, even though there's lots more other great books you could read, is the fully updated version of How to Grow a Multi-Million-Dollar Property Portfolio in Your Spare Time. And this is the totally updated 14th anniversary edition of my bestseller, and it's on the bookshelf of all successful property investors because it outlines a framework of how to build financial freedom, but I've updated it for the new economic climate. It's become a classic, and I'm very proud of the success, and I'm particularly proud of the emails and the stories I get from readers who've told me how it's helped them build their own multi-million-dollar property portfolio, because when you read it, you're going to get a time-proven, step-by-step action plan showing you how to achieve real wealth through property investment and how to live the life of a property millionaire using my systems. And if you've read the book before, why not get the updated version and reread it and relearn some of the strategies and some of the updates, because in particular the strategy on how to live the life of a property millionaire has changed in the current finance environment. My old living off equity strategy doesn't work. So this book's not just suitable for beginners, but it's got lots of advanced strategies for experienced investors. So there you have it, a list of books you should read and reread to build up your skill set. And yes, I'm touting some of my books, but having said that, I know the success so many readers have achieved from the lessons they've learned from these books. So I'd be wrong if I didn't give you the opportunity of getting the same results and changing your skill sets. I believe you should read these books or reread them before you read any of the new books. Because if you haven't incorporated the fundamental principles that you're going to learn from these books into your life, what can a new book teach you? You need strong foundations to build your success. You need strong foundations to build your multi-million-dollar property portfolio, because if you don't have strong foundations, the whole thing could topple over.